I've used dating apps for years, without any real issues. Sure, you get the occasional weirdo or someone who looks nothing like their photos, but I never felt physically unsafe until last month. I matched with a guy named Caleb. His profile was normal hiking photos, a picture with a dog, bio saying he was new to the city and looking for a tour guide. We chatted for a few days. He was charming, funny, and didn't push for anything sexual, which was a refreshing change. We agreed to meet at a coffee shop downtown at 7 p.m. on a Tuesday. Public place, plenty of people. I followed all the safety rules. I arrived 5 minutes early and grabbed a table near the window. 7 p.m. came and went. At 7:15, I messaged him. No reply. By 7:30, I was annoyed. I opened the app to check his profile again, thinking maybe I missed a message, but his profile was gone. Unmatched. I figured I'd been stood up or he deleted his account. Frustrated, I finished my latte and decided to head back to my car. My car was parked in a garage about 2 blocks away. It was winter, so it was already pitch black outside. As I walked down the street, my phone buzzed. It was a text from an unknown number. "You looked pretty in that red scarf." My blood ran cold. I hadn't posted any photos wearing this scarf. I stopped walking and looked around. The street was relatively empty. I typed back, "Who is this?" Immediately, the reply came instantly. "Caleb. Sorry I missed you inside. I'm shy." I felt sick. Ife was shy. Why didn't he come in? And how did he have my number? We had only communicated through the app. I started walking faster, clutching my keys between my knuckles. The phone buzzed again. "Don't run. It makes you harder to catch." I broke into a sprint. I reached the parking garage and ran up the stairs to the 3rd level instead of waiting for the elevator. My footsteps echoed loudly against the concrete. When I burst through the door to my level, I froze. My car was the only one in this section, parked under a flickering light. Leaning against the driver's side door was a man. He was huge, much bigger than the photos on the profile, wearing a dark hoodie with the hood up. He was just standing there, tapping a cell phone against his palm. He looked up and smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. It was predatory. "Hey, Sarah," he said. His voice was deep and gravelly. I didn't say a word. I turned around and sprinted back towards the stairwell. I heard his heavy boots hitting the pavement behind me. He was fast. I burst into the stairwell and practically jumped down the flight of stairs, risking a broken ankle. I heard the door slam open above me. I made it to the ground level and ran straight into a security guard making his rounds. I was hysterical, screaming that someone was chasing me. The guard pulled his radio and went up the stairs while I called the police. They searched the garage, but the man was gone. The scariest part wasn't that he chased me. It was what the police found on my car. Under the back bumper, taped clumsily with duct tape, was an Apple AirTag. He hadn't just found me at the coffee shop. He had been tracking my location for days to know exactly which car was mine before I even arrived. I changed my number. I moved apartments, and I never used a dating app again. My parents own a cabin up in the mountains that they usually rent out during the ski season. In the summer, it's mostly empty, so I decided to go up there alone for a weekend to study for my finals. I needed the quiet. The cabin is isolated, miles from the nearest neighbor, surrounded by dense pine forest. It has these massive floor-to-ceiling windows in the living room that offer a great view during the day, but at night, they turn into giant black mirrors. The first night was fine. I studied, made dinner, and went to sleep. The second night is when things got weird. Around 11 p.m. I was sitting on the couch with my laptop, my back to the kitchen. I heard a noise from the back porch. It sounded like heavy footsteps on the wooden deck. I froze, typing. I listened intently for a minute, but there was only silence and the wind in the trees. I convinced myself it was a bear or a deer. I got up, double-checked that the sliding glass door was locked, and pulled the curtains shut. About an hour later, I went into the kitchen to get a glass of water. I dropped the glass. It shattered everywhere. The back door, the one I had explicitly checked an hour ago, was unlocked. The latch was flipped down. I stood there, staring at it, my heart hammering against my ribs. I knew I had locked it. I vividly remembered checking it. I grabbed a knife from the counter and did a quick sweep of the ground floor. Nothing. No one was there. I told myself I must have been tired and hallucinated locking it. I swept up the glass and went upstairs to the bedroom. I locked the bedroom door, something I never usually do. I eventually drifted into a restless sleep. I woke up to the sound of breathing. It wasn't my own. It was heavy, wet breathing, and it was close. I kept my eyes closed, paralyzed with fear. I felt a shift in the weight of the mattress. Someone was sitting on the edge of the bed. My phone was on the nightstand, just out of reach. I knew if I moved, I was dead. The breathing continued for what felt like an hour, though it was probably only minutes. Then, I felt a hand brush against my hair. It stroked my head gently, like a parent comforting a child. It took everything in me not to scream. The weight lifted off the bed. I heard soft footsteps walk across the room, then the click of the bedroom door unlocking. The footsteps went down the hall. I waited until I heard the front door downstairs open and close before I bolted. I grabbed my keys, jumped out of bed, and ran to my car without even putting on shoes. I drove to the nearest town and called the police from a gas station. When they investigated the cabin, they found mud tracked all through the house. But the most disturbing thing was what they found in the attic crawl space. There was a sleeping bag, food wrappers, and a peephole drilled into the floor, looking directly down into the shower of the master bathroom. The police estimated the squatter had been living there for at least 2 weeks. He had been there when I arrived. He watched me study. He watched me sleep, and he had unlocked the door to let himself out after he was done saying goodbye. I worked the night shift at a gas station off a lonely stretch of highway. It's usually pretty boring, mostly truckers and tired travelers. Needing caffeine, I spend most of my time on my phone or cleaning. Last Tuesday started normally. Around 2 a.m., a beat-up gray sedan pulled up to pump 4. The windows were tinted dark, so I couldn't see inside. The car just sat there. No one got out to pump gas. This happens sometimes. People pull over to sleep or check their GPS, so I didn't think much of it. 10 minutes passed, then 20. The car hadn't moved. I started getting a bad vibe. I used the intercom system. Pump 4. Do you need assistance? No answer. The car didn't move. Another 10 minutes passed. Suddenly, the driver's side door opened. A man stepped out. He was wearing a surgical mask and sunglasses, which was odd since it was the middle of the night. He didn't look at the store. He walked around to the trunk, opened it, and appeared to be rearranging things. Then, he got back in the car and just sat there again. At this point, I was officially creeped out. I locked the front door remotely from behind the counter. We have a policy that if we feel unsafe, we lock up and do business through the night window. A few minutes later, the man got out of the car again. This time, he walked straight toward the store. He tried to pull the door open, but it was locked. He didn't look frustrated. He didn't knock. He just stood there, staring at me through his sunglasses and the glass door. He stood there for a full 5 minutes, motionless. Then, he reached into his jacket pocket. I thought he was pulling out a gun. I ducked behind the counter and dialed 911. There's a man acting suspicious at the station. I think he has a weapon, I whispered. When I peeked back over the counter, he was holding a piece of paper up to the glass. The writing was messy, scrawled in red marker. It said, "Open the door. I need help." But his body language wasn't panicked. It was rigid, aggressive. I shook my head no and pointed to the phone to show I was calling for help. He didn't react. He slowly lowered the paper and reached into his pocket again. This time, he pulled out a tire iron. He smashed it against the glass. The safety glass spiderwebbed, but didn't shatter. He hit it again, harder. I screamed and scrambled into the back office, locking the heavy steel door behind me. I watched the security monitor as he kicked the glass until it finally gave way. He climbed through the hole. He didn't steal the cash from the register. He didn't take cigarettes. He walked straight to the back office door and tried the handle. When it didn't open, He started slamming his body against it, throwing himself at the metal with insane force. I could hear him grunting on the other side. "I know you're in there," he whispered. His voice was calm, which was worse than if he had been yelling. Sirens wailed in the distance. He froze. He looked at the security camera, waved the tire iron at it, and ran out of the store. By the time the police arrived, he was gone. They checked the license plate from the footage, but the car had been reported stolen 3 days prior. They never caught him. I quit that job the next day. I still have nightmares about the sound of his body hitting that metal door, trying to get to me.